Hey there, this is the Heir of Carthage, bringing you another Empire Total War online commentary battle. This is being fought on the Grassy Flatlands 2 map. This is a 2 vs 2 battle, of course. I am playing with BW Marshal. He's playing as the United Provinces, the army that you see here. Let's take a look at what he has. He's already begun some skirmishing with one of our opponents. Here he is going after some of the long riflemen. But in any case, let's take a look over here. He's got a unit of light dragoons, and here's his line. Looks like he has about 8 or 9 units of line. It's Swiss infantry mixed with line infantry. Back here in the back, he's got some horse guards and a regiment of horse, and it looks like 5 units of rifles. And he's lost a unit of dragoons there in an attempt to rout these long rifles. But that was a risk he kind of had to take because we're outnumbered quite badly by our opponent's rifles. We're playing against 2 members of the ANV clan, I believe it is. You'll be able to see their names at the end. As you can see, this American has 7 long rifles there, and back here he's got, let's see, 2 light dragoons and 2 regiment of horse with the general's bodyguard. He's got a couple of units of line infantry there. Some more line infantry moving up. And over here, I believe he has 5 units, or I thought he had some marine. Oh yeah, he's got 3 units of marines, 2 more units line infantry. The other ANV member is playing as Prussia, and he has 7 units of line, I believe, 7 units of Prussian Jaegers. Here's his general bodyguard, and out here on his flank he has 2 units of his cavalry, which are 2 units of 2nd Hussars. Here they are. This is some excellent cavalry in the charge. Very quick. Good for taking out skirmishers, disrupting line that manner. And here's his other unit of cavalry. It's another 2nd Hussar. I am playing as Great Britain, and I have 6 units of green jackets, which are long-range skirmishers. Here I have a unit of horse guards and my general's bodyguard. I have 8 units of British line, I believe. Maybe 7. Hold on. Oh, yeah, I think it's 7. In any case, I got 2 light dragoons and another horse guard out here. Basically, I'm using my dragoons and this horse guard to keep his skirmishers and 2nd Hussars in check. I just don't want my opponent to really be able to help his ally, the American, because Marshal's already started fighting with the American, and I don't want the Prussian to be able to support him. So I'm kind of having to watch 2 fronts, and it has me a little bit worried, because I need to keep an eye right here to make sure that my opponent doesn't get my skirmishers. He does outnumber me. He has more Jaegers than I have green jackets, and if I were my opponent here, I would have just flat out attacked me because he outnumbers me, and I think that he would have done quite well in that, but for some reason he was very hesitant to walk within range of my rifles. Generally speaking, if you're going to have more rifles, you might as well go ahead and attack. I guess you don't have to. You can wait and see what the situation gives you, though. So over here, Marshal, like I said, has begun the skirmishing, and I think he lost 1 unit of light dragoons, and to start with, the skirmishing wasn't necessarily going super well for him. It was about even, maybe a little more on his opponent's side, I don't really remember. But needless to say, we needed to get rid of some of the rifles on, that our opponents had. So it kind of became a focus for us to get rid of some of their rifles. Here he was chasing back the long rifles with his line. He's taken some losses there, but like I said, it's kind of necessary. We've got to get rid of some of these rifles. And I'm seeing his need over here to get rid of some of these long rifles, and I'm kind of getting itchy over here with my horse guards. Problem is that I don't have any light cavalry to make a quick charge. These horse guards are excellent cavalry in a melee fight, but they're not very quick. So I've got to be careful about timing their entry. But I'm looking to knock out one of these 2 units of long rifles there. Yeah, it's going to be a stalemate on my side for a long time. Basically, I'm just keeping him in check, as I said. And Marshal and the American are going to be exchanging skirmish fire for a very long time. This was kind of the whole idea of skirmishers. I tried to do some historical reading on skirmishers. I didn't find exactly what I was looking for. But basically the skirmishers were used how you would think. There was usually It kind of depended on the army, on how many of them there were. I know Great Britain made use of them, as well as Austria, and America used them as well. These long rifles right here would have been what America used. And what they used them for was to disrupt enemy line infantry. So as the enemy line infantry would come into their range, they would fire and kind of disorganize them, while their own line moved into position to begin firing. In fact, I read an interesting article about these long rifles. These were Kentucky long rifles was the name for it. There was actually a more proper name, but I don't remember that. It was some kind of German name. And they believe that, of course, some German gunsmiths that immigrated actually designed the rifle. It was very long, which was not the same as other German weapons at the time. In fact, when they would design these rifles, they would usually design them to come up to the chin of the person who they were building it for. So they were generally custom built. There wasn't necessarily a standard length, and the nice thing about them is that they could be built with hand tools in workshops on the frontier, so they were very accessible. And they were used all the way up until the mid-1800s. Had very good range and accuracy because of the length of the barrel. In any case, that's enough history. Like I said, you can see it's all calm on my front, but it won't stay that way forever. I'm actually going to move back over here to Marshall's side because that's where all the action's going to take place. As you can see, Marshall's pulling back a little bit. This is a good choice. He's taken some losses in the skirmishing, but so is his opponent. But by pulling back, this is what we're kind of hoping to happen. His long rifles are now scooting a little further ahead of their infantry protection here. And we really need them to get too far out ahead of their protection so that I can make a cavalry strike, and so that Marshall could as well. So here they are, they're really moving out in front of their line, and I have to say that I'm getting tempted now to run my cavalry in. But I have to be careful as well, I don't want to lose that heavy unit. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording and come back to you when some action gets started here. Okay, it's now a few minutes later. Marshall and I just really have to get rid of these long rifle units. And here he's charged one of his light dragoon units in. And some of the American cavalry, a regiment of horse, followed him. And while this distraction was going on, my opponent didn't notice that I was running in my horse guards, which are unfortunately slow for this type of duty, but they're very strong. So when I get in here, I kill a large number of long rifles. That unit's lost over 20 men, and then I hurry my men out so that I take very few losses. I think he gets a few shots off at me on the way out, but I had to be careful because the American was moving up his line to protect. Yep, so I got my men out of there, only took a few losses, and it was kind of unfortunate that I had to take those losses, but right now, Marshall and I both know that the critical point in this battle is that these long rifles have to be taken out. If we can take out these long rifles, then his line should be able to defeat this American line, and if he can get his opponent in a bad position, it'll force my opponent to make rash moves and give me good position there as well. Let me show you what's going on over there still, which is nothing. My opponent and I just kept jockeying for position. There was one point in the battle when I kind of made a run as his 2nd Hussars with my light dragoons in an attempt to shoot them, but he wouldn't have it, and he shouldn't have it. So he ran them away in time and moved a unit of skirmishers over to help outrange my light dragoons. And I've kind of angled some of my skirmishers to face his flanking forces. Now my opponent has his lines spread very thin, which is great for envelopment. But like you've seen maybe in Puel's videos, that spreading your lines thin leaves you vulnerable to cavalry attack. And Marshall and I do have better cavalry than our opponents. So let's get back over to where the fighting's going on. This first part's almost over, so I'm going to stop in a moment. And of course you'll see that on YouTube. Anyway, you can see this unit of skirmishers is pretty beat up. They're going to bug out soon. But there's still 3 units of rifles over here, or sorry, 2 units of rifles there, with quite a good number. Here I make another charge with my horse guards. My opponent, I guess, didn't see this coming or didn't care. I'm not sure which one. So I'm going to get one of these units of long rifles pretty bad again. and again I'm just going to run right out, and I take a few losses, but as I've said, the critical idea here is we have to get rid of these long rifles. Anything we can do to disrupt them and give the Dutch rifles a chance to get ahead is good. American long rifles are one of the better skirmisher units in the game. Alright, well, that's going to be the end of the first video, so stay tuned and I'll bring you the end of this what turned out to be a pretty intense battle.